in that first level. And yeah, let's go. Players have just started, just a little minute before they all sync up. So quick into the story of that game. It's a very story-driven game. You are just telling your daughter about like something crazy that happened to you once, and it's just about your journey into that strange world with a strange Iron Man-like suit that allows you to do crazy things, at looking for your uncle. So very, very simple, and we are going to launch on that TP pad we just see there. And from that, it's just like downhill. Like you are going to get a grappling hook very, very soon, which is always a fun mechanic to play with, to toy around in a speedrun. And the I don't know what you think about that, but I feel like the level design is all based around going fast. Like you can experiment a lot, like you can do whatever you want. There are some finicky kill boxes, but it's okay in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the design in the levels is trying to have an enjoyable casual experience where if you want to take it slow and just sort of jump around, you can, but if you're trying to get through it fast, including a time trials mode, the devs were obviously looking at that and trying to allow people to go fast, and I think they did a pretty good job.
So we got almost a perfect sync between the players during that workshop, like maybe a second or two time difference, and yeah, 142 landing on the first level. Here we go, and now it's all crazy. You have from the start power leap and a power jump, so you can leap forward at a very high speed, or you can jump very high using just the right click of the mouse, which you are going to look for just being constantly pressing, just releasing when you want to jump, which is very tough because playing with two mouse buttons at the same time is not that usual. And all that game is based on cycles. So all the players here are waiting for the same cycle to go on the platform. You can get one cycle faster if you get like the perfect starter of the level, but it doesn't change too much on the long run. So all the players are going to be very synced during that first level if they don't fail.
It looks like Serlik here is about one cycle out ahead of everybody, and hopefully he'll be able to hold that, but any small mistake here, even losing like 3 or 4 seconds, is going to push you back behind in some of the further cycles.
And that's probably why. Oh, nice trajectory here for Selrek. Just going as fast as possible, following the trickiest routes. We are going to see something, I guess, safer on Gonzo's stream. All those cycles are what explain why the runner starts at Sanctuary. You want to get a perfect level, and you can lose a lot of time here. The OB for Sarek trying to land on that pad. Yeah, the kill box can be tough to get. That rock is awful.
It looks like they're, Gonzo, Kaiten, and Sarek here all opting for the intended route. We got Mook still trying to go out of bounds. Let's see, if Mook can get this, I'd say in this try, he'll probably get there about the same time as everybody else.
Yeah, you got about like 2 tries to still be saving time. It's not that much time save, but let's see. Yeah, he gets there like just a one jump behind Gonzo's and Sarek. So Gonzo didn't go for the OB there and barely lost time to barely save time compared to Marks. And here we are grabbing our second crystal, which is going to allow for double, grappling in the air before landing. And that's when the level even opens up even more. You can do, here just the game tutorialization of those that mechanic, just jumping a lot, and you will see very few walking in that game. If you start to walk, that means you've missed an opportunity to go faster.
there's a couple of sections where you want to. I mean, there's even a running mechanic for some reason. So even if you do find yourself walking, you want to be running when you can. Wow, this is actually 3 people on what seems to be a pretty similar cycle here.
Yeah, Sarek got like a faster cycle, but all Gonzo is a little bit behind, but that's very, very close, especially for Mox and Kitten Q here. And yeah, taking every time the opportunity you can to just jump a little bit further than what's anticipated by the devs, and like you can jump so far, you always can like try to grab a little bit farther until you can reach actually the next platform. We are going to complete the first level here. That's actually quite a good time for Selrek. Like 5:44 here is quite good.
Yeah, for people that have not been running that long, like everyone getting right around 6 minutes is pretty good.
Okay, so Sarek like a couple, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds ahead of Mox here. Not even. Starting the second level, we are going to have our first cutscene that we cannot skip. Thankfully, we can skip a lot of cutscenes, not triggering them, but sometimes you just gotta wait. So all the players are going to be doing that cutscene at the same time, and we are just going to wait about 50 seconds maybe, just to be ready to keep on going. And the level is going to be very, very short because we are not going to see much of it. That part of the game, the players is invited to go for some exploration. You have a lot of hidden things all around the place, and the runners you are going to see are just going to rush through the village and just grab their third crystal and be done.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, probably one of the better levels in the game when it comes to visual storytelling and just the natural exploration, or like story you get out of like exploring the area and finding all of the interactable objects and stuff. But you're right, in the speedrun we just, head right by, and in the fling category, after one of these first rocks here, you fling all the way to the end of the level. You don't see any of it.
Nice. Okay, so Sarek, Mox, and Kitten Q just ahead of Gonzo here. Interesting skip here done, tried by Mox but failed, and done correctly by Sarek. Okay, barely he made it. Where you just skip a couple of rocks. Lots of skips are just about saving a few jumps. You are not usually going to save much, but like just doing one less grapple, one less jump is going to save you time. And you can go pretty fast in that game if all of your grappling are done correctly. So you can do what you guys call edge boost. It's just like interacting with the sides or the corner or the edge of objects you can grapple on, and just getting slightly even more speed, getting like ejected, I guess, from the rock.
So what it actually is if you go into the game and you open up like the wireframe and the meshes for all of the objects, if you're standing below a texture for an object, because the textures aren't perfectly mapped to what the physical structure is of all the objects, if you grapple on a texture that pulls you into the mesh of the object, the game doesn't really know what to do with you and tries to spit you out. It's definitely a lot easier to do at lower frame rates. We're pretty sure this is just due to the engine. It doesn't check as often for if you're in an object or not. And so at lower frame rates, you can get further into an object and thus get spit out a little bit faster. But it's definitely something that you need to try to be doing, and I've noticed Mooks here seems to be doing it the most. But of course, it's higher risk, higher reward, because you can just slam into an object and stop.
Yeah, if you do like bonk into the object, like into the physical aspect of it, you are going to lose all your speed. Like you never want to be sliding or through like next to an object or into an object. That's going to kill your momentum. What you want to do is always be slightly into the object, I guess, but never completely into it, or you are going to lose your entire speed. So it's It's tricky to get right. I guess a lot of players are going to, during DQD, are going to be very good at it. But once again, it's been on 5 days, so players are just getting their feet wet, and still very, very good and clean runs into the chasms, the level 3 that's just started for Sarek and Mooks. And we are going to see one of the trickiest skip in the entire game, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Just due to the nature of the level and it being extremely dark, if you haven't learned where the walls are, it can be very hard to do some of these skips. You just sort of flounder around, not sure where you're going. But it looks like Mooks here has a pretty good setup.
Yeah, this
I think he's gonna make it across the first time. Maybe.
Here you want to go far. No, that's too short. He's going to bonk right through the object here and going to lose time, making Cat and Q take the lead of that race. Let's see how well he does handle that part.
Oh, that was a good edge boost right there, and he's plenty of speed.
Definitely. Oh, okay, no, that's good. And here, sadly, you don't have like a cool checkpoint. You can go further down the tunnel, but that costs time, about like 10 seconds, I'd say. So you want to do that part like without saving, and looks like he's getting it just right. And finally, you have a checkpoint right here.
One of my favorite things to do in this level actually is skip all those checkpoints, and after you get to the very end, you can fall off, reset, and get back to the very start of the level before it ends.
Oh, yeah, okay, so because you can like die intentionally during like the final cutscene of a level, and the game will still count as the level being complete, so yeah. You don't want to die too soon though, because
no, definitely not.
That would be bad. Very dark part here for Cat and Q, like you are in this cave that you should be lighting up with small flowers that just light up when you shoot on it, but if you know exactly where to land, you are going to save a lot of time knowing exactly what the platforms are. And we get to the worm section here, getting past the platform that would trigger a cutscene, so you are not going to get stuck there, which saves a lot of time. So this is the only part with RNG in the game, apparently. The worm can make you lose time if you are unlucky, is that right?
Sort of. The worm moves, what we can tell, it does at least 4 movements. Some of them are a little bit faster, but we're pretty sure that the amount of time that it takes to start talking and get through this ending dialogue doesn't actually affect the time based on the worm's movement. Yeah. And during the last movement here, you can kind of see it on Mooks, as it moves back to the center, you can actually leave well before the worm gets all the way down.
Yeah, as soon as he stops, like his head movements, like you can go, even if it doesn't look like it. Gonzo got stuck on the first platform, so he has to suffer through the cutscene, and Mooks had to reset, like soft lock the game apparently, like.
He activated. So if you get the worm awoken and then you fall off a platform, the worm will stay awake, and you have to move between those cycles from wherever you are in the level. So, like I said, you can go back to the very first checkpoint you hit. If you awaken the worm and you try to get through the level, it'll start yelling at you way far back in the caves. So, in this case, he's got to go back to the menu and continue to try and finish off the level.
So, a little bit lead for Sarek and Cat and Q, starting the fourth level, sorry. I cannot count today. Fourth level of the game. Huge relief when you get there after like the claustrophobic chasms. You get to that nice open area with nice music. But the game, the speedrun doesn't get much easier because you are skipping a lot of checkpoints. And if you were to die, you will lose a lot of time. So you have to be very precise, but it's not that tough because you have less skips, but you have to deal with those windmills, which are a pain sometimes.
Yeah.
Just just getting through those sections. Zarek died just at the start of the level, so I had to twice the beginning. It's okay though. Using like the full extent of your grappling hook to go as far as you can all the time to do less swings and do as few jumps as possible. And the level is very open. You have all the time a couple of ways to go through the level, but there's always a faster way, and usually the faster way is also the trickiest in that game because it's all about like getting barely enough speed, barely enough distance so you can grapple to the next platform, and it can get tricky from time to time.
Definitely. A lot of the harder tricks in this level actually come from landing on the fans. Because you can stand there and reset your grapple amount like you can see Serlik doing here. Wow, that's actually a really nice setup for getting on the fans I haven't seen before.
Yeah, he grappled the far into the windmill, and the wings got like a nice alignment with the wood structure you can land on.
Yeah.
And that's very nice because, like, I guess it's obvious by now, but as soon as you land on anything, you get all your charges back. So you can land on a lot of things in that game. You can land on any rocks you can grapple. You can almost land on. Oh, he did reset here. Did not go any far enough. But a lot of setups in that speedrun are about like landing in small, tiny objects you are not supposed to land on during casual playthrough.
Yeah. Looks like Cat and Q here has already gotten the boots. They're, making a run for it.
Those windmills are not too bad when you know how to get through them. You just grapple on the center of the second one and you're good to go, which is very nice because it's not too easy when you don't know exactly what you're doing. And we finally get the final upgrade of that game, the rocket boots, which are like a good thing. Sometimes you are like the games want you to use them, but usually like you don't really need them, and it's a good like time saver. Just to exactly what Zarek is doing right now, just being able to go back on land and keep on going. Obviously that loses time, but that's still way better than dying. All the players are invited to play on 31 FPSs just because it makes the edge boost a bit easier, and also the rocket boots go a bit further.
Yeah, they actually go about 1.5 times as far as they normally do when you're 31. It's a really weird thing. If both of the numbers in your FPS are odd, the rocket boots will go farther. The closer the second number is to 1, the farther they'll go still. So 33 FPS, your boots still go farther, but they don't go as far as they do in 31.
So 61 would work then?
No, both numbers have to be odd. So 51 would work.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, it's really weird.
That's interesting. I wonder how that works. Zarek doing one on another landing on those wood parts here, being able to get all his charges back. I love his setups to do that. It's very clean.
Looks like Cat and Q hit the checkpoint there and is exiting out to do the skip.
So you are skipping such a long cutscene here. There's like a long dialogue you don't want to trigger at all. So using the rocket boots, you can just skip above like the box that would catch you into the cutscene, I guess. It's not too hard to do, and if you were to miss it, you can just restart at the checkpoint and mash on your space bar, and you will eventually make it through. So it's okay, not too bad, and it's such a time saver. You want to go for that. Oh, we didn't make it there. Okay,
oh, he got the checkpoint.
Oh,
though.
wow. Okay.
That's
Nice.
pretty impressive.
Some checkpoints you walk on them and they won't trigger, and some checkpoints you just are 2 miles away and they still work. Very nice.
Yeah.
This is like the very end of the level for Cat and Q. He is a bit ahead. Very nice and clean run through the Star Heaven here. Very nice. Yeah, and only like 20 minutes into that run, we are getting almost into the final level. Those are, yeah, very impressive runs overall. Yeah, it is. Yeah, as pointed out in chat, it is a confusing speedrun. Has a lot of parts looks like each other. Be sure that Cut and Q is in first place, triggering the end of the level. Here you have a little cutscene. Sarek is not too far behind, and Mox is very close too. Gonzo has still about like the last bit of that level to go for.
Yeah, it looks like Gonzo still hasn't skipped the cutscene yet.
Yeah, he's getting to the I don't know, the place where the Stray live. I didn't get everything about that.
I think it's called the Stray Village, or that might actually be Starhaven. To be honest, I picked up this game specifically to speedrun it, and it wasn't until just this last year that I finally took time to sit down and play through it casually.
So yeah, Fat Mike mentioned that you didn't know how Maggie got on your back.
Oh yeah, for the longest time I didn't know. She just appeared there.
Because on level 3 we do skip the part where she gets with us and accompanies us through all that fourth level, and at the end of the level, bam, she's there. So if you haven't followed the game, if you haven't played through it casually, it can get confusing, I guess. But yeah, very long cutscene here, about like almost 2 minutes worth of wait. Just, you know, time to drink a bit of coffee, get refreshed, check the news, check your chat, because this is an intense game, and playing it on Twitch can get tricky in terms of chat interaction. Definitely my favorite level is about to start. The ice caves are very nice, very well laid out level. It gets very confusing because the game doesn't clearly say what you need to do, so it's all about getting you lost a bit, I feel. And yeah, first skip right off the bat. You do not get to the crumbling cave where you have all those blocks that falls and you have to land on them. You just skip that through thanks to a grappable rock. You can barely grapple through that ice block. I don't know who found that, but he's a genius. I have to tell you.
No idea, because it saves so much time. Going through that other room is such a pain. And that was actually another thing that I didn't do for the longest time, until I tried running the all collectibles run. I just hadn't gone into that room because there was no need to.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and I imagine if you're running through this casually, that room is tough.
The first few jumps here, Moxie's failing also, like where I can fail here, yeah, are quite tricky. You want to be precise, but once you can get barely grapple on that rock, you're good to go. You have those crystals laid all around the place. If you shoot on them, you can you get all your charges back. But you have to remember, in order to shoot on the crystal, you have to have at least one charge left. So be careful with that. The other thing we are going to do in that level is skip the fact that you are supposed to lose your boots. So a bit further down the road, you are supposed to land on a platform, and the land is so brutal that you lose your boots. But if you do skip the checkpoints that trigger that part, you do keep them, and they are very useful, as we've seen them all around the place, and it allows to, I don't know, gain about like a minute and a half on the few platforming sections. So that's a very nice thing to note.
Yeah. The room I'll point it out when it comes up, but that's actually the room I use to test and find out what like how high the boots went, and that's mostly where I settled on 31, because that allowed one less usage of the boots to get through that section if you run it at 31 versus anything else.
Well, same thing for 51 and for 11, I guess, if I
Yeah,
understood
well,
correctly.
11's better, but running at 11 hurts. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I like that everyone is running at 31. It makes for an okay, like any computer should be able to run at 31. So just if you pick up the game, there's a few settings to tweak around. You run at 31 and you will be just fine, which is good. So on those caves where Selrac is, you can like gain one extra boot usage. So I guess that's good.
Yeah, as much as we love the boots are pretty slow. They aren't as fast as grappling.
You want to use the boots as few times as you can, but still they are very useful just to salvage a run. So just if you miss the platform, so no hesitation, but you should like keep in mind it's just a backup.
And there are a few times in some runs where if you do land on the ground when you're using the boots, it will cancel out the remaining duration. So a lot of the times I guess I don't know, with more experienced players, like you'll see us trying to hit like sloped platforms when we use the boots to get somewhere to try and, save a little bit of time.
Apparently, when you keep the space bar pressed while you're in the air, you fall a bit faster.
I did not know that.
Well, now you go. So if you want to be sure and check that out, if you go on the boots caves, I don't know how we call them, if you keep the space bar pressed, you will not make the jumps. And if you do keep, if you just do one touch of the space bar, you will go a bit further. And that's because if you maintain your space bar, you will land faster. So that's to be toyed around. Like a few runners, I've been noticing that in the UD community. So I don't know. Well, I didn't know if you knew that or not. So apparently there is something to toy around here.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out, because that can help in a couple of situations. Like right here where Mooks is, if you know you have enough distance, you can maybe land a little bit faster.
Yeah, and landing allows for... Oh, well, I don't know if that was intentional, but he managed to save that. Yeah, barely being... Oh, he was able to grapple, but he managed to save it there. But yeah, if you are on land, you can do the power leaps, and you can go very fast, and I guess that's the best movement. Like power leaping is the fastest way you can move horizontally.
It's a little bit slower than an edge-boosted grapple if you can get one, but a lot of the time, it helps when trying to like make jumps. You need to edge boot, or you need to like in a very small window land on something, do a power boots leap, and then grapple onto something. A lot of the times, it helps with getting just some of the skips.
Nice. So yeah, for anyone joining right now, this is the end of a story about my uncle. We are just seeing like the few last jumps around like Mooks in first place, if I'm correct. Sarek is going around here. He did not make the skip or doesn't know about it, so he chose to go falling rock section here. You can entirely skip that, but I guess you should not go for a skip if you are not sure you can make it. So yeah, this is the third game of the UD6. UD is a challenge of speedrunning, learning 10 games. So this is like the first-person platformer game. Like it's a cool learn. It's a very nice and a tough grind though. So if you are interested, do check it out. Join the UD if you want to learn and join the community. Just have a lot of players to learn games with. And on Saturday we are going to have a tournament featuring twice this game. So we are going to see who's the fastest and the most consistent. As we seen last week, like consistency is very important because being the fastest on one of the two races will not give you the victory. So we'll see that. It's going to be nice. It's going to be on Speed Gaming on Saturday. And yeah, no Castlevania. Castlevania was last week. Castlevania is coming back, but only in July, with the full 10 games in our tournament starting July the 14th. And we have like a 5-minute cutscene starting on Mook's stream. He is in first place. He did come back after like a bad chasms, and had a fantastic ice caves. Ketanku and Sarek got some troubles going through. Gonzo on for fourth place here, but let's do remember we have 32 runners running currently. Like we are just able to restream obviously for screen size reasons, but if you do like what you see, be sure to follow the runners and check out the ultimedecathlon.com/en. We have a live page with a lot of runners currently running that game. So one big question everybody is asking is, why don't the speedruns stop when we get to the uncle?
So the speedrun doesn't stop when we get here for a couple of reasons. When the game was originally submitted and like the categories were created, trying to remember who, I believe it was Twix, when they were going over what should be timed, because the epilogue is like, it's playable and you can lose time there by taking longer to get to the end, we decided that it's probably fair that we time it. And for some reason, we simply haven't decided otherwise. That's really the best explanation I have. There's a skip in there. You can save time. It's mostly done as a joke. There's a very little chance that you will actually lose time in the level. If we, we're probably going to be experiencing a lot of growth this year as a community, and if the community does end up deciding that we really just want to be running start of Sanctuary to the end of Ice Caves, we may change the category to reflect that. But for now, we like having our little joke, I guess.
Yeah, the community has been around for a long time. The game came out about 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a very speedrun-friendly game, so no surprise there is such an active community. You are going to run on SGDQ this year?
Yes, I am. I have a 6:30 a.m. slot, well, for PST. But yeah, on Thursday early morning for the US at least, I've got a slot there. I'm really excited to bring the game to SGDQ and, hopefully advertise it so we can get a bit of a bigger community going.
Yeah, very nice. 6 a.m. I don't know. I didn't catch it.
If you go to the page, it's the West Coast time. But if you go to the SGDQ page, they've got all the times in local. So
yeah, cool. So I guess that's going to be like 9 p.m. for me. So prime time Europe.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. We are very happy to feature that game on the UD6. Mook's getting that skip you were talking about. You can just barely get through above like one little crate, and the time just ends when you lose control of the character. Just that flight of stairs. It's a very good time. 33:20 here. Very nice for just the first race. Mook's ending up barely behind his PB. His PB is, let me check that out quickly, 32:30. So yeah, 50 seconds behind PB. Very nice race.
Yeah, this was good all around. Like, I think all runners did a very good job here. You can definitely see like things where like Serlik was out in the front in the beginning, but you get into those later levels, the one death starts costing you, 20 seconds, 30 seconds versus, 5 or 10 in the beginning levels, and you can just fall behind real easily.
Yeah, it is going to set up some intense races during the UD. It's a more relaxed game that we had previously, because we started with Shovel Knight and Castlevania Eye of Sorrow, so long platformer with intense like inputs all the time. But sorry about my uncle, you have this cutscene to just take a deep breath during the run. You have like a lot to do, but the curve is very nice for you to be like the run is easier the more you go. So that's very nice. And I guess after the chasms are passed for all the runners, it's going to be such a refreshing speedrun. Is going to be very nice. I do hope the races are going to go smoothly for the runners.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cat and Q finished like barely behind Mox at about like 34 minutes, and Sarek is going. He lost. Sarek was so much ahead early on. Like he got an incredible sanctuary, he got best cycles all around, and just lost so much time. I guess during Star Heaven and the end of Chasms and during the Ice Caves. It just finishes right now at 35:15. About based on Gonzo's timer, and yeah, Sarek's PB is 33:30. So his PB is a bit behind Mox and Get and Q, but I feel like his early game is way better, and he should be able to, as soon as he works on level 4 and 5, he's going to be able to get so close to that 30-minute time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a very good sum of best given those first two levels. A lot of the times it's just getting through a level without, dying that really helps bring your time down.
Yeah, that's our, I guess, exactly what's losing the most time for a lot of those players. Gonzo is going to be done very soon. I wonder how many runners completed the game already. We got Onyx here that got a 31:50, Devil Tifa with a 32:11, Metalo with a 33:15. So Mox, as we've seen here, actually ended up 4th place on the overall race. We got Cup Quick at 34 minutes on the dot. Cat and Q, as we've seen, was 6th place with his 34:17. We got Zigwigwi at 34:47. Taker at 35:10. Sarek at, as we've seen, ended at 36:53 apparently. Oh, that should be like a mistake of submission, I feel. Yeah, okay, my bad. 35:16. So 9th place. Psychos got 36:02. So overall, very good times all around the races. Gonzo got a 37:06. So yeah, the times are getting lower and lower. I've seen all those players getting PBs during the entire week. It's 30 minutes feels like a very, very tough limit to break. You submitted one time on DUD, Vince. You got.
Yeah, I submitted it first and I got about a 29:54.
Nice.
Yeah.
What time do you aim for during SGDQ?
My SGDQ estimate is 35 minutes.
Okay.
So I expect to be well under it, but that limit is based around me. My game plan is pretty much to try the hardest skip that I have for every single section once, and if I mess that up, then go back to something a little bit safer. So the 35 minutes is really mostly to allow for me to try a bunch of tricky stuff at least once.
Okay, so yeah, you should be fine. And I guess, like, considering the best time today we got on that race was 31 minutes, I feel. You had, like, if you were to join us, you had like a decent chance to finish 1st place. Like sub 31:50 feels like an easy enough time to beat for an experienced runner like you, but that's not guaranteed anymore.
Yeah, definitely not. Like 31:50 in a race is something that I feel like I easily could beat if I just sat down, but there's also a good chance I would have lost out to that. And as these races continue, I think, especially looking at some of the runners that are already like at sub 30, there's a good chance if they have a good run and I, slip up somewhere that I could very easily be beaten.
So my final question before we end that stream, what are the chances someone during the UD beats your time of 27:43?
Okay, I don't want to say it's impossible, it's very unlikely that somebody gets down there. I would not be surprised to see some people get sub 29 and maybe around like a 28-20. But man, like I can't really see it happening with people who haven't been running for that long. That run is like insanely optimized. There's definitely a lot of new stuff that's come out through then, and I'm gonna try and push the time down later this year, but I'm pretty confident no one's gonna beat it.
Okay.
But prove me wrong. I want something to do.
Yeah, I guess like my job is just to motivate people to do speedruns. So I will obviously try to get the better players out there to do their best to beat your time. But obviously, I have like 10 games to work on. So yeah, I understand you saying it's unlikely, but I wanted to ask because like some players are very highly confident in their time. Some players know there are flaws, but it feels like watching your runs. I've watched it a couple of times. It's a very, very good and very optimized speedrun. So your confidence is legitimate, I feel. Anyways, thanks a lot for being there with us today, Vince. It was a pleasure and a great race to watch. Big shout out to Sylph Shady, Grinsvant, Sven, Gonzo, Zoff, and that just ended the race. Also, we have like about 10, 15 runners that are still running. For some players, 29 is going to be a 4 stretch goal. For some other, it's maybe going to happen this week. So the UD is a long process, and we are going to see a lot of a story about Miracle for the next few months. So if you like the game, be sure to follow the game on Twitch. Be sure to follow the runners we featured today, and follow the Speed Gaming, obviously, and the Ultime Decathlon Twitch page if you would like the French stream. So yeah, thanks a lot again, Vince. That was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.